regardless of how me and Becky's mother were getting on, I always stayed in their life. I'd have them at least three nights of the week, every week. That was a really difficult period for us. She lost so much weight so fast.
It was supposed to be an ordinary day. A 16-year-old girl, shy and soft-spoken, leaves her bedroom in Bristol and simply vanishes. Hours later, her family realizes something isn't right. Her phone, her clothes, even her makeup, all untouched. At first, everyone thought maybe she had just gone out, maybe she needed space. But as the hours turned into days, panic grew. Posters went up across the city, volunteers searched parks and streets, and the media pleaded for her safe return. Behind closed doors, her family prayed desperately for a miracle. But what they didn't know was that Becky Watts' disappearance wasn't the work of a stranger in the night. The monster wasn't hiding in the shadows. He was already inside her home. And the truth, when it finally came out, would leave the entire country horrified. This is the heartbreaking story of Becky Watts, a teenage girl betrayed and murdered by someone who should have protected her. A case that exposed dark obsessions, hidden cruelty, and a shocking betrayal within her own family circle. Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because here at Noir Crime, we uncover the darkest true crime cases every second day. And trust me, you won't want to miss the chilling stories we bring to light. Now, let's step back to February 2015, when a teenager's quiet life was stolen in the most unthinkable way. On the morning of February 19, 2015, Becky Watts seemed like her usual self. She was quiet, reserved, and happiest when tucked away in her room, listening to music or chatting with a few close friends online. But that day, something felt different. By the afternoon, her father, Darren Galsworthy, and his partner, Angia, realized something wasn't right. Becky's bedroom door was left slightly open, her belongings were untouched, and most alarmingly, her phone and laptop were still in the house. For a teenager, especially Becky, leaving without those things was unthinkable. As evening fell, worry turned to panic. Darren reported Becky missing. Police officers arrived quickly, but at first, they treated it as a possible runaway case. After all, Becky was a teenager, and many missing teens return within a day or two. But Darren and Angia insisted, this wasn't Becky. She wasn't rebellious, she didn't stay out late, and she rarely left home without letting someone know. Soon, friends, neighbors, and volunteers joined the search. Posters with Becky's photo appeared across Bristol. Appeals went out on social media, and the case quickly gained national attention. The family made emotional pleas on television, begging Becky to come home, or for anyone with information to step forward. But behind the scenes, detectives were already uneasy. There was no activity on Becky's phone, no trace on CCTV cameras, no messages to her friends. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. And yet, police had a troubling thought. In many missing person cases, the danger doesn't always come from outside. Sometimes, the threat is much closer than anyone dares to imagine. As days passed, the search for Becky grew more desperate. Detectives worked around the clock, combing through CCTV, interviewing friends, and retracing her last known steps. But every lead seemed to hit a dead end. The media frenzy was intense, and the community rallied together, refusing to give up hope. Then, suspicion began to shift closer to home. Detectives noticed something unusual about Becky's stepbrother, Nathan Matthews, and his girlfriend, Shauna Hoare. At first, Nathan appeared cooperative, even joining in the search. But his behavior raised red flags. He seemed cold, detached, almost rehearsed when questioned. When officers dug deeper, they uncovered a disturbing picture. Nathan had an unhealthy obsession with teenage girls and often spoke about controlling or kidnapping young women. Friends and acquaintances later recalled unsettling comments he had made, remarks that seemed chilling in hindsight. Police carried out searches at multiple locations linked to Nathan and Shauna. And then, on March 2, 2015, the investigation took a horrifying turn. In a house just miles away from Becky's home, investigators discovered body parts carefully hidden in bags and boxes. The remains were confirmed to be Becky Watts. The shocking discovery devastated her family, friends, and the entire city of Bristol. What had begun as a hopeful search for a missing teenager had turned into a nightmare. A community that had prayed for Becky's safe return now faced the unbearable truth: she had been brutally murdered. For detectives, the case shifted instantly from a missing person search to a homicide investigation. All eyes turned to Nathan Matthews and Shauna Hoare. The question was no longer where was Becky, but why had this happened, and how far had the plan gone? The arrest of Nathan Matthews and Shauna Hoare sent shockwaves through the public. People struggled to comprehend how Becky's own stepbrother and his girlfriend could be involved in such a horrific crime. But as the trial began, the disturbing truth slowly unfolded in the courtroom. Prosecutors revealed that Nathan had developed a twisted obsession with kidnapping teenage girls. He wanted control, domination, something sick and disturbing that he had fantasized about for years. Becky, his own stepsister, tragically became the target of his dark desires. On February 19, 2015, while Becky was at home, Nathan ambushed her. Evidence showed he used a stun gun and masking tape to subdue her. Prosecutors argued that Nathan and Shauna's original plan had been to kidnap Becky and keep her captive. But things spiraled out of control. Becky resisted, and in the chaos, Nathan suffocated her. The courtroom listened in horror as investigators laid out the cold, calculated way Nathan disposed of Becky's body. He dismembered her remains with chilling precision and stored them in bags and boxes. Those bags were later hidden at a house linked to him, where police eventually made the gruesome discovery. But what made the case even more disturbing was the role of Shauna Hoare. While she denied active involvement, evidence showed that she encouraged Nathan's violent fantasies. Police uncovered text messages between the couple that revealed a shared obsession with abducting young girls. Though Shauna did not physically carry out the killing, the prosecution argued she played a key role in planning and enabling Nathan. The trial lasted weeks, gripping the nation. The jury listened to witness testimonies, saw the shocking forensic evidence, and read the disturbing text exchanges. Every revelation painted a darker picture of just how far Nathan and Shauna's twisted relationship had gone. In October 2015, the verdict was delivered. Nathan Matthews was found guilty of Becky's murder and sentenced to life in prison, with a minimum of 33 years. Shauna Hoare was found guilty of manslaughter and perverting the course of justice. She received a 17-year sentence. The courtroom was heavy with emotion. Becky's family, already shattered by grief, had to endure the unbearable details of her final moments. Justice had been served, but the pain could never be undone. The devastating murder of Becky Watts didn't end with the trial. For her family, the aftermath was an endless battle between grief and trying to preserve her memory. Becky's father, Darren Galsworthy, spoke openly about the unimaginable pain of losing his daughter in such a cruel way. He described how everyday life became a reminder of the bright, funny, and loving girl who was taken from them far too soon. Becky's friends and relatives struggled to process how someone so close to her, her own stepbrother, could betray her in such a brutal way. The betrayal cut deeper than the crime itself, leaving scars that time could never fully heal. Her family emphasized that Becky was not just another crime statistic. She was a daughter, a sister, and a young girl with dreams that would never be fulfilled. The case also sparked nationwide discussions in the UK about teen safety and the dangers that can exist even inside families. Parents and guardians were reminded that evil doesn't always come from strangers, it can emerge from within trusted circles. Schools, communities, and organizations began encouraging more open conversations about hidden abuse, warning signs, and the importance of speaking up when something feels wrong. Becky's tragic story also led to renewed focus on how authorities handle missing person cases. The massive public response to her disappearance showed the importance of swift police action and community involvement. Thousands had joined the search efforts when Becky first went missing, a sign of how deeply her story resonated. Even years later, Becky's name continues to remind people of the fragility of life and the importance of protecting children and teenagers from hidden dangers. Her family vowed to keep her memory alive, refusing to let her be remembered only for the way she died, but for the vibrant person she truly was. Becky Watts' murder is one of those cases that lingers in the mind long after the headlines fade. A young life, filled with dreams and innocence, was stolen not by a stranger, but by someone who should have been family. That betrayal still shocks anyone who hears her story. Her death wasn't just a personal tragedy, it became a wake-up call for parents, communities, and authorities to pay closer attention to the unseen dangers that sometimes exist right at home. Becky's family continues to live with a void that can never be filled, but they've turned their grief into a mission, to remind the world that every child deserves safety, love, and protection. Her story forces us to ask difficult questions. How well do we really know the people around us? And how can we prevent such darkness from repeating? If Becky's story moved you, let it also inspire awareness. Look out for the quiet signs, trust your instincts, and never ignore red flags. This is More Crime. We bring you real stories of tragedy, betrayal, and justice every second day. If you want to help keep these stories alive, and make sure lessons are never forgotten, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Your support ensures that victims like Becky Watts are never just names in the past, but voices that continue to echo for change.